Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Sailing Madness, my first video of 2023, and if you're watching this around the time of release then Happy New Year to you. I hope you had a good one. Now this episode is going to be a little bit different to previous episodes, and that's because over the Christmas and New Year period I didn't get to spend that much time on the boat. I literally came here for flying visits to get one or two jobs done, and because my visits were short, so was the filming. I did film all the bits and pieces that I did, but each piece is not really long enough to make into one episode. So what you've got in this episode is a real mishmash of videos that I recorded between Christmas and New Year. So I hope you're going to enjoy the different approach as much as I enjoyed making them. The first bit you're about to see is me doing a job that I'd been putting off for a while, and one that got me rather wet. Right, I'm back on the boat and it's a really nice sunny but cold winter's day. Very few clouds up there, lots of blue sky, lovely day for cleaning the decks. Now this is a job that I've been meaning to do for a long time. It's been months and months and months since these decks were given a good clean, and as you can see they are rather dirty. So I've got some new hull and deck cleaner which I'm told is marine friendly, so I'm going to be using some of that. Before I attempt the job though, just let me tell you this very quick story. Okay, because of my naivety, I thought that the hose pipe that's about 4 boats down was a communal hose pipe and we could all use it and share it. Actually turns out the hose pipe is owned by the owner of the yacht that's about 4 yachts down. So over the last couple of months I've been helping myself to that person's hose pipe. I have no idea who that person is, but I've just been using his hose pipe. So if you are the owner of that yacht and you've been coming to the marina and finding that your hose pipe has been moved and not put back properly, that was me. So please accept my apologies. I have now bought my own hose pipe and I'll be using that for the first time today. And of course, if anybody at the marina needs a hose pipe, mine is here. Please help yourself to it. Bit of an embarrassment that, but I think I've made amends by buying my own hose pipe. Okay, so let's crack on, let's get the job done.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, 4 hours and a change of clothes later and the job is done. I got absolutely drenched doing this job, but it was well worth the effort, and I'm really pleased with this Riptide hull and deck cleaner. I think it's done a really good job. As you can see, the decks are so much brighter and whiter than what they were a couple of hours ago. All that green has gone, but there are 1 or 2 stubborn stains left that I haven't been able to lift out. So if you know a product that may be better than this, then please put your comments in the box below. But I think what I'm going to have to do is come back in a couple of days time and just give those stubborn areas a second going over with this stuff. Right, so I think what I'm going to do now is put the kettle on, have a cup of tea before I head home, and I'll come back in a couple of days time to tackle those stubborn stains. As you can see, I've been doing some more shopping. Bit of a heavy box this one, lots of goodies inside. Let me show you. So, what's in the heavy box? Well, quite a few goodies actually. First of all, I've got a pre-made anchor snubber. This has come from everybody at Jimmy Green Marine, who are absolutely fabulous. So I'll show you that on deck at some point in the future. Also in the box, I've been buying a whole load of new fire extinguishers. Now when I had the boat surveyed when I purchased it, one thing that came back on the survey was that every single fire extinguisher on this vessel was out of date. So they're all being replaced, and I'm replacing the old style fire extinguishers with these new style, I'm not sure what they're called, but these are kind of like one size fits all fire extinguishers. You know, sometimes for certain situations you get foam, you get CO2, you get water fire extinguishers. Well, these bad boys replace all of those in one smaller simple unit. Now I've only been able to buy 4 of these because the Chanders that I use only had 4 in stock. So I do need a couple more, and I'll get them in the next couple of weeks when they restock. But these are going to be positioned throughout the boat, replacing those out of date fire extinguishers. One of the normal fire extinguishers I've bought is the fire extinguisher that goes inside the engine bay. This is one of these ones that automatically go off when it detects too much heat. So that's going to go in the engine bay to replace the one that's out of date. And on the subject of safety, I've also bought one of these accidental jibe preventers. Now, as a solo sailor, the risk of me having an accidental jibe when I'm sailing is a lot higher than if I was sailing with crew. I could be on a lovely downwind sail one day, but I come down here maybe to put the kettle on, maybe to go to the toilet, and while I'm down here the wind changes direction or the autopilot has a hissy fit, then all of a sudden the boat is veering off course, the back of the boat is going through the wind, and of course if that happens the boom will go from one side of the boat to the other with an awful lot of force. Now this bad boy will prevent the boom from doing that, so I think this is quite an important safety addition to the boat. So I'm going to fix this on the boom a little bit later on. Right, okay, first things first, let's replace the fire extinguishers, and I'll start with the one that goes in the engine bay. Well, you know, naively I thought I could just pull the old fire extinguisher out and replace it with a new one using the same bracket that's already screwed to the wall in the engine compartment. But as you can see, the new fire extinguisher it's about an inch taller than the old one, so of course I've got to change the brackets over as well. But having a look at the date on the old fire extinguisher, it was manufactured in 2005. It went out of date in 2010. So this unit is 12 years out of date. Long overdue, and I'm sure all the other fire extinguishers on the boat are going to be a similar sort of age. Okay, so I've rounded up 3 fire extinguishers that have been on the boat for a very long time. Now, I don't know how old they are, and I don't know what the expiry date is because everything is in German. They're branded Bavaria, so I can only assume that these 3 fire extinguishers, along with the one from the engine bay, have been on the boat since it was built. So these are well and truly past their use-by dates. So I'm so glad I've replaced one of these big heavy bottles with this. Now, I went to the Southampton Boat Show at the back end of summer 2022, and they had a stand with these on. They were demonstrating them, and apparently one of these gives the same amount of output as one of these, so there's a lot of space saving there. So I'm glad I've invested in these. I'm going to buy some more. So I've replaced effectively 4 fire extinguishers, if you include these 3 and the one in the engine bay, with these 4. So I'm going to buy a couple more because they're only small and you never know when you might need them. So they all come with one of these little mounting brackets, so I'm just going to put one in each cabin. I'm going to put 2 of these came from the cockpit lockers, so I'm going to put these two of these in the cockpit lockers, one each side, and then I think I'll be well and truly covered in the event of a fire. Hopefully I won't actually ever need to use these, but the advantage of these is as well, the expiry date on these is April 2031, so these last an awful lot longer than what these did. Now, you know, one of the questions that I get asked all the time is how am I going to provision for a long distance passage? Well, for me, the answer is easy because, of course, I'm going to provision the boat with food that I like to eat and that I enjoy cooking. Now, as a solo sailor, I've only got to think about myself. But, of course, if you're travelling with crew or with family, you need to consider what they like to eat and what they like to cook. So it's a very subjective matter, and maybe I'll do a video on it at some point in the future. But one thing I will say at this early stage is I think every boat should have one of these on board. It's one of these toasted sandwich makers that you just put over a gas flame. They're about £20 on Amazon and they are absolutely superb. If you haven't got one of these on your boat, you really should get one. That is a very tasty lunch. Right, here's a little job, one that I've been putting off doing for a couple of weeks, but I can't put it off any longer. It's a bit of a mucky job, so I'm told, and that's because it's something to do with the heads in there. Now, ever since I've had the boat, I've noticed that the down pump on the toilet is very stiff. And doing a bit of research, looking at some YouTube channels, I've discovered that I think the problem is a thing called a joker valve. Now this valve sits in the toilet system between the toilet and the holding tank, and conveniently this was left on the boat by the previous owner. So I think this is a problem that goes back quite a way, and one that the previous owner also put off doing. So that's why he very conveniently left this on the boat, because he knew that one day I would have to tackle the job. I mean, I can't blame him for doing that, because if I was selling the boat and I had that problem, I'd have probably done exactly the same. But according to what I've seen on YouTube and what I've read on the internet, basically it's a fairly straightforward job to replace this valve. It's just a bit of a mucky job. So looking at what I've got in there, I think it's just going to be a case of undoing a couple of screws, taking the old valve out and putting the new one in. So let's see how we get on with this. I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to be able to film, by the way, because there's not a lot of room in there, but we'll give it a go. And it also might be a bit messy, so maybe if you're eating your dinner, you probably might not want to watch this video right now, or not this part of it anyway. Right, so if you're unfamiliar with boat toilets, let me just very briefly explain how they work. Imagine now you've just used the toilet, you finish doing what you need to do, and then what you do is you pump the toilet with the switch over on this side. Now that fills the bowl with seawater. As you can see, it's filling up there. Now, when you flip the switch over, as you're supposed to do, to pump that out and into the tank, this is when the pump gets very, very stiff and it kind of jolts your hand back up like that. So that's not right. It pumps out eventually, but it's very, very stiff. So according to what I've read on the internet, that is the joker valve that's causing that problem. So that's what I'm going to attempt to change today. And it's quite a simple job. It's just a couple of screws. Hopefully I don't have to do any hoses, but we're going to try and undo those screws and see what happens. But I don't think it's going to be pleasant. Right, I've got my gloves on, my screwdriver at the ready, a couple of screws to undo there, and we'll see what happens. Well, all I can say is a good job you can't smell what I can smell. Now I know why they call it a joker valve, because changing it is no joke. Put some water in. There. It's just as bad. Maybe it's not as bad, but it's still not right. Okay, so that clearly wasn't the problem. The problem is the pipe. After a few years, these things do tend to get silted up. As people's urine mixes with seawater, it creates that crystallization on the pipes, and the pipes generally get thinner and thinner apparently. So that's clearly what's happened. So I think the only way to resolve this problem is to replace the pipes, which is going to be a right bugger of a job. But one I'm not going to tackle today because I haven't got the pipe, but one that's going to need to be tackled at some point soon. Yeah, so that last job was not the best. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it's probably the worst job I've had to do on this boat so far. I know I haven't been a boat owner for that long, but it's the worst one by a long, long shot. But at least I know now that that valve is okay. So it's got to be the hose that's clogged up between the toilet and the holding tank. So I've ordered a brand new hose. That's going to be here in the next couple of days, and my God, they're expensive. So I'll probably bear you the gory details. I won't bother filming that, but I'll report back and let you know how I get on. And And that just about does it for Dave for today. Thanks a lot for your company. I hope you've enjoyed that mishmash of videos of stuff that I've put together over the Christmas and New Year period. If you have enjoyed it, and let's face it, if you're still watching now, you must have liked it a little bit. So please hit that thumb and give me a like. And if you've not done so already, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video here on YouTube. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.